Hi everyone, welcome back to another pen review. My name's Matt Armstrong, the host of The Pen Habit. And in today's review, we're going to be looking at a pen that was sent to me for review purposes by longtime viewer Rob. This is the OMAS Milord. Rob bought this used and had it shipped to me before I sent it on to him. So thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. And that is what the review is going to be on today. So I don't have the packaging because it didn't come with packaging, so I can't tell you what it looks like. So can't help you there. Looking at the pen though, the Milord is one of OMAS's well-known production line pens. It's a 12-sided pen. It's got nice facets here. Start at the top here. It comes to a slight point, and you've got an inset circle. Similar look as was on my Noti di Bologna, which I reviewed back in season 1, that inlaid circle there. You can see the 12-sided top there. Then you have a nice swooping clip that comes down. It's quite stiff, but still a little bit of give to it. And it's got the nice wheel inset into the clip, which is, I think, kind of a nifty look. Coming down, you've got a gold-colored clip band that says OMAS and then has that Greek key design that runs around, and then Italy. Very nicely put together there. Pen tapers down toward another gold-colored ring, and then another a finial here. Now, one of the interesting things is when I got this pen, I just kind of assumed it was a piston filler because most of the higher-end OMAS pens that I have used are piston fillers. And so I started unscrewing the finial, and pretty soon the finial just came off. Turns out this is not a piston filler. And so why they made the finial unscrewable, I don't know, but it is. So if you get one of these, the Milord comes in a variety of different finishes. A lot of the limited edition and the celluloid, the brown arco celluloid finish that this comes in are piston fillers, and they're more expensive. The regular production line, and there are a few different colors, including this black, and I think they call it London Fog. These are cartridge converter pens. So you've got a nice 18 karat gold nib here, and this one's a broad. It's got some interesting engraving on it. Not quite as pretty as some of the other OMAS nibs that I've seen, but still quite handsome, I think. Got another 12-sided washer right here. Nice plastic feed, it looks like, on the back side here. The section is not concave at all. It just kind of tapers up or tapers down, depending on which way you go. And you've got threads right here. Open it up, and you can see comes with an OMAS converter. And this is a standard international converter, so it will work with standard international long and short cartridges and converters. The threads are pretty smooth. There's not a lot of slack in them. They seem well machined. Unfortunately, because this pen does have a removable finial and the washer, it really can't be used as an eyedropper. So just keep that in mind. And made of their cotton resin, which is something that OMAS uses. I don't know how that is significantly different than any other resins you might get, other than I believe they use it. It's manufactured from cotton seeds as the raw material from which it's made. I will say that it's beautifully polished, very smooth to the touch, nice feel in the hand. It doesn't feel cold like some acrylics do. Overall, it's a pretty nice looking pen. Now, if you have watched many of my videos, this will be the 4th OMAS pen that I have used. The first being the Noti di Bologna that I got early in my collecting career, and I've actually got it inked up right now. Still like it quite a bit. It also came with an 18 karat nib, quite rigid. And then I got my Grail pen, my OMAS Ogiva celluloid in the brown arco celluloid, which is still my #1 favorite pen. Lovely, lovely pen. That came with a 14 karat extra flessibile nib. I also got an OMAS Ogiva, and that came with an extra flexibile nib. All of the nibs I've used up to this point were actually really good. This nib has some issues, and I'm not entirely sure what those issues are, but it has been causing me a little bit of grief. Now, as I mentioned, this is not my pen, so I have not worked on the nib at all. But this is a used pen, so I don't know if the nib issues are caused by the previous owner, if the nib issues are why the previous owner got rid of the pen. I don't know the pen's history, other than the nib has a few issues and needs to be worked on. So let's go through the stats, then I'll show you some writing. So it's a big pen. We're looking at 145 millimeters in length, which is pretty long. When it's capped, uncapped, you're looking at 132, which is quite comfortable to use uncapped. And it can be capped, which is nice considering the 12-sided barrel could make that difficult, but it's quite a long capped pen at 174 millimeters. Section is 11 millimeters right here in the middle of the section. The barrel is 13.6 and the cap is 15.4. So a nice hefty pen, not the biggest I've used, but also not particularly svelte either. So, and then weight, it's not super heavy. It's 16 grams with ink and the converter. Uncapped and capped and posted, you're looking at 28 grams. So the cap by itself is 12 grams. I like the 12-sided shape quite a bit. I love the little roller wheel on the clip. The design is nice. It's perhaps very Art Deco-y to me. Perhaps not the same look that I would go for. Black and gold, I got a lot of black and gold pens. It takes a lot to get me excited about a black and gold pen. And this is a nice design, but it's not one that just has me drooling over it. Now, this in brown Arco celluloid, that would be a whole different story. And after trying this, I think that's probably what I will end up with is an OMAS Milord of my own, but in brown Arco. So let's dive into the writing sample. I'll show you how it writes, and we'll go from there. So we are looking at the OMAS Milord. It's an 18-karat nib in broad. Pay attention to that little hard start you saw there, because it's indicative of what I have been seeing a lot of lately. And the ink is Iroshizuku Shoro. I had someone say the SY sound actually, it has a bit of an SH to it in Japanese. I don't know if that's true or not, but the things you learn. All right. Now, let's do the quote. Okay, so there was a bit of a hard start there. There was a bit of a hard start here. And another one there. And you can see even when I did the circles, sometimes there were hard starts there. This pen, I get a lot of hard starts. It does not like to go sideways to start off with. Once the ink gets going, it's fine, but it doesn't like it. And it doesn't like to go down. At least initially, you get a lot of those. That's unfortunate. The nib is pretty smooth, just a touch of feedback, nothing too bad. But the hard starting issue is really weird. And I've looked at it under magnification to see if it looked like a a baby's bottom problem. There might be a little bit of that, but what I think is a bigger issue, and I'm guessing here, I don't know, it's not my pen, so I haven't worked on it, is that the nib isn't completely round on the bottom. So it's rounded, and then it has a bit of a hard edge to the sides. It's like they didn't take the round all the way around the nib. So that, especially as I'm one who tends to roll my nibs a little bit, this has a very narrow sweet spot, and it tends to like a slightly higher angle. It will work better as a higher angle. I generally tend to hold my pen more at a 45-degree angle, as opposed to like a 60-degree angle. But in any case, I also notice that if I don't write with it for a while, sometimes it will tend to dry out just a little bit. Once I get going, it usually writes pretty well. I'll get little hitches in the ink flow that happen at the beginning of letters, but nothing too drastic. It's usually just after I stop writing for a little while that I start to get problems. In terms of line variation, there's not a whole lot. This is a pretty rigid nib, so yeah, I wouldn't push the line variation on this too much. Some nice shading, a little extra ink if you can push a little bit of line variation out of there, but not too much. Now, I've tried this with two different inks. I started off with Caran d'Ache Colors of the Earth Blue Sky, and this is, as I said, Iroshizuku Shoro, and it both flowed well, but both exhibited that same hard start problem, which is unfortunate because this is a fairly expensive pen, and I would hope that the nib would be a little bit more performant right out of the box. Now, I will say that my Noti di Bologna, which also had that 18-karat rigid nib, it was a little dry and not quite as smooth as I wanted. So I did do a little bit of work on that nib to make it the way I wanted to. Both the Ogiva Alba and the Ogiva Celluloid, and I haven't reviewed the Alba yet, but I have reviewed the Celluloid, and the extra flessibile nibs were beautiful right out of the box. No problems at all with either of those nibs. So if this is indicative of what the 18K nibs are going to be like, I would lean toward the extra flessibile nibs, both because I really enjoy a nib with some nice spring and bounce to it, and because I don't appreciate the hard starts and the drying out and the skipping. And like I said, I don't want to repeat myself too many times, but this is a used pen, so I don't know if this is a factory problem or if this is a problem from a previous user. I have flushed the pen out a couple of times to make sure. Upside down writing, it writes pretty well. It's a little feedbacky, but it's not too scratchy. Very fine line. And on the longer term writing, when I did the first draft of the written review for penhabit.com, I did notice a very tiny little bit of ink starvation, but not too much. So this is a pen I was able to write 2-3 pages, and it would get a little bit drier as I went along, but not significant. And a quick 10-15 second pause would bring the ink flow right back to normal. So overall, there's a lot to recommend about this pen, but the nib, before I could really get into this pen, the nib would need to be worked on a little bit. I think it's completely salvageable, and based on what the price that Rob told me he got it at, which was quite a steal, having to do a little bit of work on the nib would make it totally worth it, because he got this for a significant discount off of what you would buy a brand new one for. So anyway, that is my overview and review of the OMAS Milord. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below in the comments section on YouTube or over on penhabit.com. If you click in the link in the description, there's a comment section there that I try to be a little bit more active on than I am on YouTube. So thank you again for watching, and we will see you here next time on The Pen Habit. Bye.